So welcome back, everybody, to our next session here of the virtual learning series, Leaders Online. Really excited to have Kenn Schaefer from Schaefer Advertising, Ken Scott from Avadel Agency to talk a little bit about messaging, marketing, in this crazy time we have, how should we approach that as business leaders and business owners to make sure that we're communicating correctly with our clients and with our staffs. So I will turn it over to Ken Schaefer, and then Ken Scott will take over and chat a little bit. But one thing that I'm gonna say, Ken Scott, he was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so we gotta listen to him. And Ken Schaefer, he was actually Captain America too. So we got a couple superheroes here. So Ken Schaefer, I will turn it over to you and let you go ahead and begin the session. Thank you.
I feel like we're playing two truths and a lie. Unfortunately, I was not in Captain America, but he was legit Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. So that's but just a couple things. Look, we're all trying to navigate and figure this out right now. And certainly we're in unprecedented times. Couple thoughts. All of our businesses are suffering and are impacted. So the faster we can flatten the curve, the faster we can all get back to normal. And I just want to remind everybody that you're only as safe as the weakest link in your social chain. And so if you and your spouse or you and your partner are being smart, but your kids having play dates in the park and your college age kids going to Darties with their college friends, it's just going to take us longer. So if we're serious about the health of our business, then we need to be serious about the health of our community so that we can all get back to doing what it is that we're born to do here. So in thinking about this, we're starting with two questions. What's the status of your business in the COVID-19 time? Are you operational or are you not operational? And how does marketing relate to those two things? If you're operational, what we're looking to do is to maximize your opportunity to sell in this environment. But if you're not operational or you can't be operational, then what do you do? Well, it's the opportunity to prepare for sales. It's to get your house in order so that you can sell when we're all back open again. And so I think that's just an important delineation. And what I know Ken would also agree with is there's not a cookie cutter solution for marketing. Just doesn't exist. And anyone that tells you that there is just smoke and mirrors. But there are some principles that we think that you can apply today that will help you right now. So in realizing that we have a group of wide, different kinds of companies, different levels of marketing experience, we're trying to make this relevant to everybody. But it has to begin at the beginning, and that's regardless of whether you're a business to business or you're a business to consumer operation, you have to start with your clear goal. Now, I know that may sound really pedestrian, but if you don't know what you're aiming at, then you'll never know if you've hit it. So let's take an example. If you're a restaurant operating in today's environment, what's your goal? Well, maybe your goal is to sell 25 curbside orders this day. Or if you're an accountant or an attorney or some other professional services organization, you're looking to get 2 consultations per week. But the reason that Ken and I want you to frame and focus on a specific objective is to narrow your focus, right? Right now, when money is tight, resources are tight, your staff is tight, we want to narrow your focus. And so get small in that regard. And the second part of that is, who is your most likely customer right now? And if you think it's everybody, it's not, unless you're selling masks or something like that. But who is your most likely target audience? And so for many of you, we think it's going to be your current customers, that your current customers that already know you, already trust you, already have done business with you, are going to be the most likely pool for you to sell to now. For some of you though, you're in areas where your expertise is particularly valuable during this COVID-19 pandemic. That could be lawyers, it could be accountants, it could be HR specialists. And so you're gonna fall into one of those two categories. So once you've set that goal, and again, you've made it realistic, you want to make sure that you're selling something to your customers that they can even buy today. Right now, customers are going to need two things, or are going to buy two things. Things they need. I need food. I need hand sanitizer, whatever those things are. I need accounting services, whatever those things might be. Those are things that I need. But also what we're finding in talking with a number of our friends that are especially in the retail business is that people are interested in buying small luxuries right now. Let me give you a couple examples of that, because there's still birthdays and anniversaries and all those things that are taking place. So if you're in retail, there's still opportunities for you to sell. You just got to package it right. I thought we could look to locally John Bonnell, that most of you probably know and probably even follow on social media. But if you don't, John owns multiple restaurants here in Fort Worth, and these restaurants are higher price point restaurants. What John has done is he's completely ditched his menu at two of his restaurants, and then he announces each morning what he's selling that day. He has one meal a day that he's selling for $40 that feeds 4 people. So he was used to having people come and sit in his restaurant, but because that can't happen, he shifted and pivoted to what can people buy right now. So think about your business in the context of what can people buy. Ken, any thoughts related to that at all?
Yeah, Ken, we actually have a client similar to Bonnell's. We represent a restaurant, and I'm going to very quickly show you guys what this client did. This is Parker County Brewing. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep. Yes, we can.
What happened was Parker County Brewing has a whole website, but there was no point in sending people to the website with great pictures of beer and pizza and a great restaurant that nobody can go there. So we created this splash page right for the home that just says, hey, if you go to their website, this is what we're doing. We're doing curbside pickup. Here's easy ways to order. Here's everything, just like you talked about. Here's meal deals in the middle that people can take advantage with. So he totally streamlined his whole business in order to cater to what the situation is now. Basically, it was just, hey, we're closed, but we can't go out of business. We got workers that we got to keep moving. We got inventory we got to keep putting out there, and we got to feed the community. How are we going to do that? So fortunately, they can still run, but they needed a way to let people know. So we leaned into a lot of Facebook, Instagram, and social media advertising that's all about curbside pickup, come get it, come get a meal deal. We took away all the branding stuff we were doing, all the brand building, all the engagement, and just went straight for, you've got a need right now, and here's a need we can help fulfill, and we can fulfill it within the parameters of living safely and social distancing right now. So that's just another way, a sort of manifest version of what you were talking about with a restaurant owner.
I think that's a fantastic example. One, you made the decision, your client made the decision, what can they sell today? And then you remove barriers that people might normally have and made it easy. And that's another thing that Ken and I are going to talk about is just the simplicity. Keep it simple right now. So
yeah, I think what's happening is, as you talked about, Ken, there's people that are operational, right? And then non-operational, and sort of which direction do you want to go in right now? It's a time when, look, nobody has any idea what's going to happen. We were speaking earlier about this could be the beginning of a science fiction novel where we all end up jacked in the Matrix and wearing plastic suits and nobody sees anybody again. And it could be anything short of that. In a month, we could be right back to normal where we were, and everybody's like, hey, remember when we went through that? So anything in between that spectrum. But right now, dealing with things as they are, because that's where most people's hearts and minds are, is what is it that you have to offer to this situation? You talked, Ken, about, hey, people still have birthdays and people are still needing things, and whether it's hand sanitizer. I freaked out the other day because I couldn't get a haircut. And I was like, all right, I guess I got to do this myself. And that never goes well. So there's certain things out there that people need, and business owners can sort of look at, what do I have to offer that caters to the need right now? It may not be your typical business model that you're used to offering, like pizza and coming into the restaurant. It may be like Blackland Distillery here in Fort Worth. They went from selling alcohol to now they're hand sanitizer.
Yep.
And they're making thousands of gallons of hand sanitizer. So that's an example of a business that's looking for a way to take advantage of the resources and use what they have to cater to the present need.
I think that's a great point. And so what if you're not sure what your customers want? Ask them. It's a fantastic time if you're unsure what your customers can buy, just survey them, ask them. Literally, you can send an email out with a simple tool like SurveyMonkey to ask people how your business can support them. And I think you might be surprised what you hear back. And if you're willing to pivot, willing to ask the question, then willing to pivot, there is opportunity out there to be had. Would you agree, Ken?
Yeah, it's also an opportunity to create a dialogue with your customers and your audience that you never had before. Just like you said, Ken, you can send out an email. And again, for any businesses out there that are not collecting emails, that should be a priority for any business, really. I mean, certainly there's going to be some outliers, but building a good email list is great, no matter what the time of year or season or anything like that. If you can reach out to your clients right now and engage them, your customers, and engage them in a conversation and say, hey, what can we do? What can we offer? Is there anything we need here? Just that feedback that you get is going to start a dialogue that is not only going to start a conversation that you'll find answers to, but it's going to create greater engagement with the audience that's already there for you. So should they need anything right now and give you suggestions, you now have the ability to reach back out and say, hey, we heard you. So we started doing this. So come on in and take advantage of it. And then, God willing, that when this ends soon enough, as long as everybody stays socially distant for a couple of weeks, you will then have clients and customers that are even more ready to engage with you because you kept them engaged through this time. You kept top of mind, not just through ads or magazines or TV commercials, but through a real dialogue about what we're all going through together, and you'll be connecting on a different level.
That's a great point. So once you've then decided what your target is, or what your goal is, what your target is, what you can sell to people. So Ken and I are going to talk a little bit about right now, if it's our money, here's how we would invest it. I know Ken and I both agree that focus on digital.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I would put the far majority of my attention and effort. You want to keep your messaging simple. Like if we go back to the restaurant example that you pulled up, Ken, it was very simple. And it made it very easy for people to get to the yes. So for our clients, we're directing the majority of them to focus on social media. So in this case, on the B2B side, you're probably looking at Facebook and LinkedIn as your primary sources. On the B2C side, you're going to be looking at all of your Facebook, your Instagrams, even we're starting to see a lot more on TikTok, but focus on, we both have the philosophy, it's better to do one thing really well than to try to do 3 or 4 things and you don't end up doing any of them well. So Facebook right now, all the statistics are saying that YouTube, Facebook, then Instagram are the 3 largest platforms that people are consuming on during the stay-at-home orders. So that's where I would focus my attention and energy. Ken, thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Ken. What we've seen as primarily a digital agency, look, everybody, we're doing this right now online. And this is going on not only right here in Fort Worth, but around the country and around the world. More people are online now than ever before. Previous to this, the average kid would spend 7.5 hours a day looking at a screen, whether it was at school or at home or anything like that. all of us now are either at that number or beyond. We're spending more time on Facebook, more time on social media platforms, more time Zooming. I just Zoomed with my 75-year-old mother the other day for the first time, and she was super excited. And we've got a whole new thing called Zoom bombing that's out there, right? Hopefully that doesn't happen to us today. But what that means is the entire world is going more online and more digital. For us as an agency, and Ken, I'd love to hear if you've got any numbers, we saw within the first week of this kind of quarantine period, we saw social and digital engagement go up 15% at least, and then start to go up from there. We also saw for our clients, cost per click go down because so many people were pulling their money out of advertising. And it's Warren Buffett, and I may say this wrong. Warren Buffett said, when other people get greedy, you should be fearful. When other people are fearful, that's when you get greedy. Well, now's the time when so many people in the market are pulling their money out because they don't want to spend. And so right now, if you spend digitally, you can get more impressions, more clicks, more stuff, more analytics going on for the same dollar and spread further. So now's really the time to lean into digital because people are spending more time there. They're definitely going to see ads. They're definitely going to interact. They're definitely sharing, and you can do it for a lot less money and try and grab some more market share. Ken, are you seeing anything like that with numbers on your end?
Completely aligned. Everything that you just said, I agree with. There's never been a better time for you to get online and market. At the end of the day, what you're trying to buy is attention. And with the increased amount of time that people are spending online, you have more fish in the barrel. And consequently, it's an easy thing to do. You can do it on your own. You can use the help and resources of an agency, but dipping your toe into the digital world is not, it's something you can do on your own. Now, obviously, agencies, we have more tools and more resources, but you can do this on your own. Ken, let's talk a little bit about how someone could launch their own Facebook campaign.
Well, for me, somebody can launch their Facebook campaign, but I mean, if we're talking about a do-it-yourself kind of attitude here, which is great, the way that I would tell somebody, and if this isn't in the right vein here, Ken, please stop me. Basically, if you don't know anything about Facebook campaigns, there's two resources that you can use. You can use YouTube and you can use Facebook. And simply using those two resources, in a matter of an afternoon, you can learn how to set up a Facebook campaign. Now, I don't want to kid anybody, and I'm not trying to sell anybody any services. We use a lot of metaphors in our agency. We refer to it as like a martial arts school in a way. Anybody can go out in the street and get in a fight. But if you really want to get in a fight and do well, it's probably pretty good to be trained and be a black belt.
Yep. And
so, anybody can, and even in the old days, anybody can go out and rent a billboard from one of the media companies out there, but not everybody knows exactly where to put it, exactly what artwork to put on, exactly what copy, because marketing happens on multiple visceral levels. So it's not just about, if somebody goes, I do Facebook advertising, there's a big difference between just doing it and doing it well.
No question.
So, yeah. So any agency, anybody who's good at it can really take things to the next level. But if you want to do it yourself, you can certainly go onto Facebook, go onto YouTube, study those things, and then learn about targeting. Targeting is going to be key. There's two things that make up your advertising or marketing. It's your creative and it's your buy. And there may be some other things, but this is a basic way I look at it. If you have great creative, but you don't know how to target the right audience, or you don't do it at the right times of day, you don't get the right demographics, all that creative goes to waste. If you have a great buy and you know exactly that your customers are 40 to 48-year-old women that want to use this particular brand of makeup or whatever, but then you have lousy creative, then they're not going to want to buy your product. So you've got to go onto Facebook and really figure out, how can I get my targeting the right way to the right people, take advantage of the 45 or 48 different variables that you can switch, which unfortunately gives you millions of combinations that you can do. But then knowing just some basics, and then knowing how to apply yourself and put your art and your images in there correctly. And you can start to run yourself a basic campaign, and it's not expensive.
So another thing that I would add to that is look at the kind of ads that you're noticing. And if you are lined up with your target audience demographic, you'll start to see patterns of things that catch your eye in terms of social media advertising. And so you can tailor or replicate or imitate at this time to help give you a better chance of getting a click. Because at the end of the day, what you want is engagement. It's great that people saw your ad, but if they don't do anything with it, what you want them to do is engage. And so that kind of leads to the next part I wanted to talk about, which is offers. Right now, typically, we're not big on offers. I'd rather figure out how to sell a product or service without having to discount the price. However, we're in extraordinary times. And going back to the John Bonnell example, that you have the John Bonnell quality food that is now approachable to most families because it's a $40 meal pack as opposed to going into the restaurant and you're spending, well over $100. He created an offer that was lined up with his target audience and that they would buy. And now he literally is selling out every day. So this is a time that you should be considering about packaging your offers or packaging your service. Was talking with our accountant the other day, and he's actually pre-selling fourth quarter work. Well, that's doing a couple things. He's selling blocks of time that people are going to have in the fourth quarter, but he's selling it now at a slightly reduced price, which is actually giving him cash flow today and buying him more time for us to get out of this shelter in place and our businesses being limited.
I know some independent contractors that are doing the same thing. I know some even massage therapists and hairstylists and all that, trainers. They're all basically going and saying, hey, no, I can't work with you now, but buy a package now at a discounted rate. I even know one business that's doing it with a margarita machine. Yeah. If you buy a $25 gift card right now that's only redeemable towards renting a margarita machine, he will bring you a gallon of margaritas right now and leave it on your doorstep, social distancing. So he's doing exactly that. He's trying to figure out an offer. He's incentivizing people to buy now because he'll give you a free pitcher of margaritas. And who doesn't want margaritas right now? This is a great time for him. But then he's got a card that says, okay, you're definitely going to use this on my product later on. And if they don't, then he made $25 and whatever the cost of the margaritas was to give it out. So he's sort of gambling against that, figuring out the same thing, an offer that he could offer.
My favorite that I've seen so far is that there's a wine store here on Magnolia that is doing homeschool teacher helper kits where they're selling wine for the homeschool teachers. Pretty genius. So think about how you can create an offer or package. $25 stress relief packages, the homeschool helper kit, buy a gift certificate for the future, get XYZ today. But let's talk a little bit about, for some of the folks that are watching, the delivery aspect. And we're not joking about social distancing. We believe that you can have a competitive advantage right now if in your organic content. Let me segue for a second, just so everybody understands organic content is when you're posting to Facebook on your own page or in your Instagram story, that's organic. You're not paying for it. You're just creating it for yourself. And right now, organic content is extremely hot because it's authentic, it's transparent, and it's very immediate. You'll look and even on TV, you'll start to see that a lot of the commercials are less polished. And it's really creating a seismic shift in the kind of content that people are willing to rely on and trust right now. So you don't have to look like a great big brand, but with your organic content, one of the things we recommend that you talk about if you are delivering things, show your employees wearing gloves and masks. Tell them how you are being safe in your environment so that when it shows up on my doorstep, I know that nobody's coughed all over it. It's those little things that are building trust right now that can make a big difference in your business, especially if you're on the retail side.
We have an example of that, Ken, with one of our service providers who does home inspections. And basically what we're marketing now is we put out there that if they ever show up on your property, they're wearing booties, they're wearing gloves, they're wearing all that. But what they're really doing now is they went out and they got some drones, and they're now using drones to do the home inspections. And they're saying, hey, look, we don't even ever have to touch your home at all. You can be safe. It's storm season is coming up. Make sure your home, your roof, everything is intact and ready to go. But we're not even going to get a ladder and get up on your home and do anything. We can do it touch-free. So they're leaning into that, sort of playing into people's needs to want to be safe and be distant. And I think, like you said, with delivery, with anything that a business can lean into right now and say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is how we're meeting your needs and how we're remaining safe for everybody, that's going to give people a lot of confidence for sure.
So one of the last things we wanted to mention before we moved on to questions or any other comments was that, so social media is a sandbox you need to be playing in right now. The second is email marketing. Your cost per contact in email marketing is extremely low. And as Ken Scott said earlier, if you hopefully already have a database, you should be communicating with these people via email, via phone, pick up the phone, call your customers. But in your emails, be super transparent on where you are, be crystal clear on what you're offering, on how you can help them, and make it very simple on how they can engage with you. Don't do a long email that people have got to scroll to get to the information. Consolidate it, make it simple, and make it actionable. The second piece to that is your subject line. Your subject line is not a thing on email. It's one of the top things on your email. Make your subject line compelling. Just so you'll know, words like special offer and sale tend to get blocked by spam filters if you're not in the person's database. So you need to be creative about your subject lines, but become special offer for new customers. As an example, just be very direct on your subject lines. Ken, what would you add on that?
No, I agree with you, Ken. I have a strong background in copywriting. That's one of my strengths as a creative director in an agency. And I am adamant about subject lines. It's all about getting people to open the email. We're inundated with emails now. And look, we're talking about this today, but we're not the only ones that are realizing that everybody's online and trying to figure out how to market. So everybody's going online even more. If we thought we had white noise around us before, there's going to be even more. So it's how do you cut through the white noise? And for us, it's about drawing attention to yourself through what we call engaging or educational, it's entertaining, educational, or engaging content in some way. You've got to have a subject line in your email that grabs somebody's attention and makes them want to open it because they're getting 300 other emails or 30 emails or whatever it is, and there's only so much time in the day. So I am a big believer in the subject line for sure.
And again, all of us on this call today get a jillion emails a day. Which ones catch your eye? They're the ones that are relevant and intriguing, and in some cases entertaining when we're looking for a little step away from work. So
and Ken, that's one of the things we're kind of leaning into as an agency right now. We've got a lot of direct response kind of stuff, like, hey, go curbside and pick up a pizza and go get this kind of stuff too. But we've also got, businesses that aren't direct response kinds of things. And it's like, how do we get people to engage with that brand and build a community around it so that they're aware of it and it becomes credible and trustworthy to them? And we feel right now that engaging content is the way to go. Look, everybody's talked about content marketing for years, but right now, I'll give you a personal example. I used a martial arts example before, and I'm into martial arts. There's one particular email I get from a guy called Travis's Fight Club. And he's constantly trying to sell online martial arts training programs. But every time he sends out an email, it's got a YouTube video of some street fight or some guy getting knocked out. And this guy breaks it down and says, hey, watch this. See how this guy did it wrong. And every time I get an email from that guy, I'm not going to buy his product. I don't want his online services, but I open every single one of his emails because I want to see who's getting their butt kicked and why and how it happened. So we believe that leaning into content so that every time you see my email in your feed, you're going to go, oh, I want to open that up, because those guys usually have a fun contest or a good joke or something to say. Now, I'm not trying to be flippant and everything's got to be just, by the wayside entertainment, but it's about figuring out a way to get people to want to engage with your brand, not get their arm twisted to engage with
that. And so 2 things. 1, start forwarding me those emails. The second thing is, as an example, we just have launched a new program for the UNT Health Science Center, and it's about COVID day by day. And what we're doing is providing practical, realistic, pragmatic suggestions and helpful hints that people can lean into, whether it's about stretching your dollars for meal prep going longer, or it's health and safety tips for your kids if they're playing outside. But what we're finding is, because it's keeping the content fresh, we're sending it out every single day via email, paid social, and organic social. The base of people continue to grow because it's meaningful and helpful content. And at the end of the day, that's what you click on because we're all consumers on this call as well. That's the same kind of thing you click on. So think like your consumer, and that's going to go a long way toward helping you through this time. So Ken, any other things you want to add before we go to questions?
No, I think we could talk about so much stuff for so long. I want to add one other thing in terms of positioning and messaging. I'm going to share my screen again with you guys real quickly. This is an ad, and that's been going around from Chevy. And basically, for those of you that don't know, Chevy right now is offering 120-day no payment and 84-month 0% financing on cars. When you go to the Chevy website, this is what you see. Chevy cares. We're here and ready to help. Now, whatever you believe about a car company, I mean, they're huge. They're always going to sell cars. They're advertising people, and they spend more money than anybody on advertising, right? They understand that now is the time to connect with the audience on what's going on. We're talking about tactics and approaches and all different things, which are fantastic. But it's super important right now that everything Ken's talking about and we're sort of riffing on has to do with recognizing the situation we're in right now and recognizing the anxiety that your customers or people are feeling. Whether it's explaining to them that you're showing up with booties and gloves on, or somehow letting them know you care, or somehow letting them know you understand. From a marketing point of view, and I come from an educational background as a marketer, we always think of what's the rationale. Why would somebody be interested in your product? One of the easy way to say it is Coca-Cola doesn't sell bubbly brown water to quench your thirst. Coca-Cola sells lifestyle that makes you feel cool and good and all that. So what's the rationale? If we're selling wine to homeschool moms, the rationale is, hey, we know you're dealing with craziness right now. So we're going to address that because we care and we know you. So it's connecting to your audience in a way right now that everybody is so tied into. That's really sort of an overarching thing that I make sure everybody's aware of.
I do think there is some risk marketing at this time as well. I think we'd be foolish if we didn't talk about it. You don't want to appear tone deaf to the reality of what is taking place today. And I think Ken just gave a fantastic example of that. And again, put yourself in your audience's shoes, and are they going to want to hear what you're about to say? And if your answer is not a resounding yes, then don't press send. Don't do it.
Yeah. And that's the key to marketing throughout the year, no matter what's happening in the world.
Okay.
Put yourself in your audience, your customer's position, and think about what's important to them. And right now, there's a commonality for all of us about what's important.
You bet. Chris, any questions come in, or are people's telling us shut up?
Yeah.
I'll say, oh, I'm going to flip over the view here. You guys have been fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. A lot of great information there. It's like you guys are a couple of marketing professionals. I don't know, but you have literally answered every single question that is through this dialogue, and it's been fantastic dialogue. The only thing I'll bring up, and I think we hit on it, but I want to go back to it just to get your opinion on, is this the new norm? As we look at marketing and messaging, is this a short-term kind of plan, a medium, or is this long-term? Is this how we're going to be shifting and communicating with our clients going forward?
Ken, I'll defer to you first.
Well, first and foremost, the principles that we're talking about today apply today, and they apply tomorrow, and they're going to apply in 2022. These are all things that companies should be doing. What a lot of small businesses often do is they treat marketing like a faucet that they turn on when sales are slow and they turn off when they're too busy. And the fact of the matter is that needs to be you're far better off doing a consistent drip throughout than just jumping into the market and jumping out. I do believe, and as we're sharing with our clients, that I believe that the shifts and the changes that are occurring right now are going to have a long-lasting impact. I think people are going to become better savers of money. I think we are going to move into a time of people embracing more simplicity than complexity of life. And that's going to have impact on us as marketers. But what won't change for companies like ours or Kenn's is that at the core, we help our clients connect to solving a human need. What is that human need? How that gets packaged is what ends up changing over time. Kenn, any thoughts you'd add to that?
Oh, I would continue on with that. I agree with all that. I think what we are going to see, there's a lot of changes coming. And again, I'm a believer that I don't know what's going to happen. I wish I did, but I don't know what's going to happen from here. I'm referring to this as the great separation. And I don't know if it's going to manifest and continue to grow exponentially somehow because tigers are getting diseases and maybe that mutates, who knows? Or we somehow find some sense of normalcy again. But the new normal is exposing people to a whole new level of interaction just digitally. And because digital is a whole new frontier, and marketing companies were not even in this space 25, 30 years ago. But now here we are, and marketing companies, sometimes that's all they do.
Yeah.
People are now, again, we're Zooming. TikTok is growing. They went from 500 million to 750 million users in just like the last quarter or something like that. So more people are going online. Older people are going online. Different forms of etiquette are happening. New industries are going to start to pop up that meet needs that we didn't even know we had. Like, who's the first marketing company that's really going to go huge on decorative protective masks, and that's something we're going to buy. There's countless new things that can happen. Hand sanitizer will be a whole new thing. I don't know if people are going to shake hands anymore. We might go down to a bow or a hit on the chest, or, does anybody want to take a business card from anybody else right now? I don't think so. So I don't know how all those things are going to fall out. And we're watching that now. So yes, I think, Ken, you hit it right on the head. Marketing companies or people that market for their own company, their goal is to connect and solve a human need, to fulfill a human need in some way. That's never going to go away, but those needs are going to start to change. Our behaviors are going to start to change. Our use of technology is increasing exponentially in just the last month. So I think all those factors are going to come together, and I think you have to try to be as visionary as you can. And not everybody is a visionary. I wish I was more visionary. But if you can see a little bit down the road what things might mean to your business and what changes might occur and how you can address the future needs that we're all going to have, then I think you're setting yourself up for success.
It's a great point about the barriers being broken. We have a client in the telemedicine space, And the number of people that are on this call that have now utilized telemedicine that they hadn't done 3 months ago. So you're going to see a dramatic shift in the healthcare delivery. You're going to see a dramatic shift in online learning. This has profound impacts on our public education and our universities. I don't think things are going to stay the same. The great news out of that is that crisis always breeds innovation. And this is an opportunity for us as business owners to step in and lead, and at the end of the day, make life better for other people.
I concur.
Well, like I said, you guys have covered everything. You've covered every question that we've had. And yeah, so thank you so much for doing this. This has been a tremendous amount of information. I've gotten some text messages as we've been sitting here just saying this is awesome information.
That was from my wife sent that to you.
It was actually me too. I was texting below the screen.
That's the mysterious numbers. Okay. No, but thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I think the only other question that I have is for Ken Scott, and what was Shredder like in real life? That's
well, Chris, for those that don't know, I played Raphael, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, in the original Ninja Turtle movies from the 1990s. And if you want to know what Shredder was like, Chris, you can read all about it in my new book, From Teenage Ninja to Mutant Turtle, Becoming the Real Raphael. It's on Amazon. It's an Amazon bestseller. You can get it at turtleconfessions.com.
That is awesome.
Shameless plug. There we go. No, fantastic. No, really, again, really appreciate both of you coming on and taking some time to talk to our audience about this. And so thank you very much. And so then tomorrow for the audience, coming back, talking about strategies on managing your team during this time of crisis and being out of the office and working remotely. So hopefully you can tune in tomorrow for that as well. But again, thank you very much, gentlemen, and have a great rest of the day, everyone.
Flatten the curve.